daily game design time. This is Monday morning after the Tabletop Oahu Con, and yeah, a few summative points about the con. They really did a nice job. Like I like all of the variety of things they offer. They're really building. I don't know that I'm sure they'll release some data on how many more RPG sessions they offered, how many more vendors they had in their little vendor space, how many games they gave away, and how many demos they did. It's like impressive, especially for this being their third one. They have such a deep history with both people here in terms of a volunteer pool that they can pull on, and then the relationships they have with all these publishers. They're well supported, and it's pretty impressive. Yesterday, what did I take advantage of? I really, like, a bunch of my friends focus on the play and wins. I will not fault them for that. That's their focus. For me, it's not really my focus. I took in stuff to playtest, and that was about it. I planned on chatting with the designers who were there, which happened. I got to spend a little time with them. I got in a little bit later. I was there around 11 something, and walked right in. There were the three designers that the invitees. They were all knotted up together at at James Ernest's table, and I pretty much just sat down with them, and then James started. They kind of transitioned from chatting, and James had a demo to run, so he sat in on his game and had a nice time with that. That was about an hour, I think. And then another friend, Brandon, started Captain Sonar. And so he came around, asked some of us if we wanted to be involved. And he got an 8-player game. And sat down to that. Of course, we went through a little rules refresher. Somehow I ended up being the captain. And it was, who was it? It was me. Sarah was playing for the first time. Then there was a guy, Chris, and then Reese. That was our team, and a pretty seasoned, salty team. Actually, Reese is a real submariner, so he really knows what's going on. And the other team, they were fine, but I think they had at least one new player. Anyway, so we got underway. The game is great. The energy is really cool. The tension's high. The captain, for me, I'm just kind of cruising around. I'm asking these guys, like, what do we need? Where to do this? Where do I need to go? And so it's the coordination's actually pretty fun, and it was actually a really tight battle. There were some communication issues in that game. What's happening is it's like real-time Battleship, but awesome, and you have 4 people with different roles, up to 4 people with different roles, and there's the captain, and that the captain is there's a grid, a map with islands and other, well, I guess in that case it's just islands. And so you are calling out directions and then moving along that grid and just marking your path. And you're making sure that you don't run across your own lines and stuff like that. Don't run into islands. But you're also coordinating with the first mate, who is like charging up the weapons and the other systems you have. So there's torpedoes and mines. Then there is sonar and drones. And then there's something called silence. So they're there just kind of filling these boxes, communicating with you, saying, this is ready, what do you want to work on next? the first mate is really I think it's just the lightest position. And you can be there kind of coordinating with the engineer. The engineer, every time you make a move in a certain direction, they have to mark off an icon in the column related to that direction. And those icons, what they are, is they relate to the different systems you can use that you can like trigger or operate on the sub, the weapons, the comms or whatever, or the detection type of stuff. So if you make a move north, then he has to mark off something in north. Well, if he marks off, for example, the weapons system, then that means the weapon system is offline. And then you need to do a series of maneuvers to pretty much like repair or clean off the marks. It takes a little while. So we're all communicating about like where is it possible for us to go, given that there are islands and our own track. Those things are sitting around. What do we want to be able to use? Right? Where do we need to go in order to be able to use that to like clear off the marks from it, stuff like that. So there's some really fun cooperation stuff just in running your sub. But then on my left was the radio operator. What the radio operator is doing is listening to the other subs' directions, where they're moving. And this is all happening in real time. There's little discussions going on, but then every now and then you have to with clarity and some volume, you have to announce the direction you're going. As the captain, you have to announce where you're going. So what the radio operator is doing is listening for those movements, and then they have a film, like a clear plastic transparency, essentially, and they start just marking the path anywhere on the grid, and then they can move that around to try to match on the grid like where that path is possible. And actually, I think I prefer the radio operator best. I think that's a really fun job. The problem was the other team, they weren't necessarily like super strong in their announcements, and so that created a little frustration, a little miscommunication between these guys. Like she couldn't hear, the other team wasn't. Yeah, they really could have been a lot clearer in announcing their movements. And that's always a tricky thing. Like, how do you slow down and kind of sort that stuff out? But anyway, it came down to the wire. The two subs were like kind of circling each other, going in and out, and then we'd stop and we would talk about, or we would use one of our things like, which sector are you in? And anyway, it was a fun, pretty tense time, and either of us could have won, which is cool. And then we just pulled off a last second shot of torpedo and got him indirectly. So it was pretty cool. I enjoy it. I would have been afraid of that sort of role for a long time. If the other team is good, it really produces the feeling of being hunted. Like, we can't get away. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. None of our systems are working. Like, it can really break down. And we've seen it. We've run the game a couple times on Mondays. And there are people who actually get upset during the game because, especially in that captain's role, it's a lot of pressure. You are the captain. You're deciding where to go, what systems to charge up, what systems to use, when to use them. And then if you're an engineer and if you guys aren't communicating well, and then if you feel lost, like the radio operator has no idea what's going on, you really feel hunted, and it's pretty powerful. It's pretty amazing. It's a cool game. We pulled off that last second win, but overall it was a good game. At least I think so. I hope the other team also had a good time. So right after that, I had to miss a panel that Derek was offering. Derek, the Nomnivore guy, was offering, and I actually went and sat in on an RPG. I think it was a 1 to 3 or something like that. So a couple hour session. And I'll show you what we played. I think it was called Dreams and Machines. Yeah. And so I've wanted to experience a game from one of the twins. So we have Mason and Munson, and they're these like super cool guys that are just like pretty much all RPGs all the time. They have extensive experience. They love what RPGs do. They've been very long term in the community, like hosting stuff, running stuff. It's very cool. So I tried to sign up for one of his games. The schedule didn't work out. So then I saw this one. The name is not that attractive to me. Dreams and Machines. And I thought, well, maybe this is a step down from the other game that I was looking at. But I think this actually ended up being a really good fit for me. And it'd be something that I would be open to exploring in the future. So I won't go into detail. You can just come to this website and check it out. But it's a kind of, what is it? Some AI entity like destroyed everything somehow, so kind of reset humanity back to not quite hunter gatherer, but you can imagine like a kind of medieval time period where there are villagers who are they're like farmers, gatherers. There are like traders, people trading, not traitors. A couple other. There's another role that I had, which was like archivist. So there's still tech around. There's still like kind of fancy stuff that people can use, but it's all, yeah, like it has the feeling of something old, except there are fancy electronics and other things that you can. There's not really magic that I know of, but I one thing that Mason kept like reinforcing is that this game as an RPG might be a decent fit for a gamer, like a tabletop gamer. So his thinking on that, and I think what I kind of took away from it is that the game actually does like have a few more components. There are tokens that you can spend or earn and then spend. There is some there's some randomness mitigation, which is pretty cool. Or you can like buy more dice to roll. You can get different advantages in different ways. So anyway, mechanically, the game actually felt a lot better for me, rather than very high stakes, like 1d10 rolling, or d20 rolling, I guess. It was more of he called it a dice pool system, and for me that was just more satisfying as a gamer. The other thing, well, I really don't like the high stakes rolling in D&D, and of course it's still here, but I like how they handle like the like how successes and failures work. Again, I won't go into detail here exactly. Let me think of one example. Of another kind of really interesting thing. So this game includes the idea of truths. So it's very much a kind of improv. It's a much looser storytelling thing. There's definitely a goal that the GM is trying to kind of keep players headed toward. But what players can do is they can negotiate with the GM to introduce a truth to the scene. So, for example, we were just getting going. We had a directive to go and like build a barn. So it really was this like farmer town that had mostly been destroyed or something, and we're just kind of trying to rebuild a little bit or something like that. So we're on our way, and then flames erupt in the grass like around us somehow, and so then we have to figure out what to do, like how to escape these flames. And so as an example, we just did like the tutorial mode basically, or the just walk through a few different situations where you can like solve problems. And I think that's what was cool about it is it felt a lot more like creative problem solving, which is definitely in D&D too. I mean I don't have a lot of experience with D&D, but when we played D&D, it just happened that it was really combat focused. And combat focused where everybody's like taking turns and rolling to see whether you did damage, like that's, to me, that's just not that interesting. Especially when it's so granular, like you take a turn, then you take a turn. And that happened in this game too. But it felt more like, with this idea of truths, it felt like more like creative problem solving. Like that was more the thing than so much like, let's get into combat and fight some stuff. I know D&D doesn't have to do that either. That was my very brief experience with it. So this is how truths would work. This was his example in the tutorial kind of mode. So these flames are happening and we got to figure out how to get around it. So he said, well, a truth that you could introduce into the scene could be something like it starts raining. And then you would negotiate that with the GM to see if that's like a reasonable truth to introduce. I don't know. We didn't really have to do that. I mean, I don't know that I fully understand the system for introducing truths. I just know that if, like, I was incentivized with my character to introduce truths because that's the way I could gain back a kind of life force that we have. It was called spirit. It's something more like will or willpower. Anyway, just the idea of like introducing something as a fundamental feature into the scene just sounded really cool. And yeah, so it was fine. Like it was a nice experience. The little group we had was pretty interesting. They had definitely had a lot more experience in role playing than I did. But anyway, so that was a 2-hour thing. And then a highlight of the weekend for me was when my friend Stacy, this was pretty much right after the role-playing game. I'm actually interested in buying it. I may try it. I kind of want to try it with my friends Eddie and Jayla and then their boys. But I feel like it would take a lot to like learn it. I think we could set up a game with Mason though, so anyway, something to that. Dreams of Machines. I think I searched. Yeah, I did. My phone is like really freaking out, like in general. I need to I think I need to finally, so I have the Pixel 7 Pro and they just came out with the 10 Pro, so maybe the 9 Pro would be a little something. That's, I saw that in the list of things I searched for recently. So set to play and explore. Anyway, maybe I'll invest. I feel like I would enjoy. I could enjoy playing an RPG or running an RPG. I would like to try running one. I think that would be really fun, and I think I also like, I love offering or facilitating really meaningful, really interesting experiences and like escape rooms and stuff. So I feel like GMing would be something that could be in my wheelhouse. I just haven't never done it, and I haven't taken the time to like really learn a system. Okay, let me jump over to Sugar Shack, and I'm gonna apply an idea that came up yesterday in Discord. So I was debriefing, and messaging people. I think this was right as I was finishing my stream yesterday that I left some notes in here. And so Bunny Loaf, I think this is Ronald. He he suggested, what about Seven Wonders? And I, yeah, maybe the trophy special rewards could be in sets like Science Points and Seven Wonders. Then you could go hard into it for huge points or ignore it, and you get at least a little bit back for a small set. So I know the sets he's talking about, and it really is set collection in Seven Wonders. However, what that made me think of is, what if you just had trophies, and I put it here, sprinkled around? So, in other words, what that would look like is, um, I guess I could take it. I could take the trophy off here. What I don't know, I kind of want. You know what? I think I will make a copy of this. Just to note that this is a pretty basic change. So, and I'll call this trophies. It's actually not a huge change, but it's gonna take like editing a bunch of cards. And I think I actually, the more I think about it, I think the system is gonna work. I just want to keep things separate here. Like I can remove this. So like this will be, it can sit there like that. What this is representing is the idea that for any mayor's card that you complete, that is a trophy. Oh, interesting. What about upgrading all 3 of your things? Like, people are gonna want to do that anyway, but why not give it a trophy? You know what? So I'm gonna copy this first, then change it. Because it just turns out that I'm gonna do the ×3. And I can represent this on all the mayor cards too. Maybe it's just fine, or maybe also good if it's sitting here. This is gonna take printing another prototype. Actually, I could print it. I could also just, you know what? I probably should. I should make this a little pretty, this one. So I can drop this in here. Move these guys down. And then do this. Gray is unfortunately the wrong color here. Yeah. It's almost exactly matching. But I can kind of highlight it with a circle or something. I'm getting pretty excited about BGG Con. I was just messaging somebody earlier today. I actually found, I looked in the Unpub Discord server, and I found that the guy that is organizing the speed pitch is active in the Unpub server, and so I messaged a channel in there, and then I didn't ask the guy if it was possible for me to get in, but hoping. What is going on? So if you do all three, I mean, I don't know. This is the kind of thing. It's not obvious to me that it's a good idea, just because everybody's gonna want to do this anyway, right? And then of course this is gonna be worth a trophy, like completing these guys. Set it off to the side here. So this is cool because, of course, I'm motivating somebody to climb all the way up here. Okay, so what's the idea behind this? So is it similar? It's actually more similar to maybe the Warfare. Oh no, in Seven Wonders Duel, if you collect 5, what is it, 5 science or something, somebody just runs away with the win. So I think if you collect like 8 trophies, 8 or 9 trophies, then you win. It'll be that kind of thing. We should blow this up a little bit. And I think that's like a really solid, simple idea. Here's a question. What I don't, I guess, no, I think it's fine if the, if every card, whether it's used or not, if every mayor card has a trophy on it, I think that's fine. What I was just about to say is, what if you don't use your mayor card for its benefit, then you get a trophy. That could be kind of cool, but maybe a little too many rules, or no need for that extra rule. And now this community project thing. Okay, I can do this too, so I'll have to go grab another trophy. Huh. Oh, right here. Yeah, this is definitely not prominent enough. But I did already have a space for it. So how many trophies? That's going to be another dial that will need some tuning. You know what? I talked with the guys. So we had dinner after the con last night. Went for pho, and it was really good. Good company, good pho. And I brought up this topic. So I don't remember if I mentioned yesterday, but there was a couple that showed up when I was traveling. I was gone last Christmas season in Buffalo, and this couple came like 3 times, and they kind of had a nice experience with a couple people, but eventually they felt like the group was kind of siloed and things were sort of set. And I thought, you know what? That's not the kind of atmosphere I'm interested in. Hang on, this is school. Okay, so I did just take a sub job just now. I was kind of hoping not to go into school today, but um, it's helpful to have that income, of course. And I can. What I was hoping to do actually was update Sugar Shack and then playtest with the virtual playtesting people today. But I can see that is not going to happen, and that's okay. I wanted to set this off a little bit, make it more visible. Hmm. Mm, yeah, I don't love that. But is it horrible? Maybe not. I think this also means cutting the stream a little short. I think I was gonna end right around 8. Oh, I can shrink this a little bit. And I can make a second layer here. Bring this over. Okay. Actually, the reason I was processing things for a little bit there was that I also really want to get this moped thing taken care of, because it was supposed to do it last week, and now I know for sure I'm gonna have to I'm gonna need to like go through that kind of dumb process of failing an inspection, failing a safety check, and then going back to the DMV, showing that I failed the check, and then because I had paperwork through October, I just didn't get it done. I was gonna go last week, and then I was sick, and then I had a sub job, and there was just no time to do it, and I didn't want to cancel that sub job, so it was just unfortunate. Hmm. So where else would trophies come from? I think so. Right now, this is one. This is a trophy, and I think I will just put them on all of these cards here. Might as well, right? And I can make that a little bigger. What in the world is that? Oh, it's the whole box. There we go. So all I want to do is, yeah, move this over and then shift this probably like that. It's a little bit weird that it's this kind of thing where somebody should be motivated to get this done anyway, but well, now how many trophies are there total is the question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 5, 12, 12, 13, 14, what did I say, 14? So there's a total of 14 possible trophies. So you could defend. My guess is that 7 would be way too few to work toward. Maybe it's 8. Maybe it's 8. So if you win the majority of trophies, then you just then you win the game. So that's the majority of trophies. Because only 2 of them are available for both players. There's this one. So if you finish all 3 upgrades, or if you climb to the top of your display, those 2. Otherwise, they are 0 sum. This one's 0 sum, because if you claim one, then too bad. Is this value right? Yeah, so if you get 8 trophies. And the good thing is that you know, when if you're like way behind in money, then you can really work on trophies. Of course, that's probably going to take sacrificing some money. And I feel like this will spread players' attention around, because like with these guys, you know, you build to the top. That's going to take a few turns, probably. Should I incentivize the grant office? Those upgrades are so powerful. Well, so let's say you earn 2 of these. So that's 2, and then you know you upgrade everything is 3. Climb to the top of your climb to the top of the display is 4. Then if you get 3 mayor cards, um hmm. Yeah, it would introduce a lot more tension to going for the mayor cards, which I think is great. I think this was a really good call. And so this would be if you know if a player earns 8 trophies, the game ends immediately. Well, because what would the other player be doing? Like, what would they be up to if they're not doing all those things anyway? I think that's also a little bit weird. It's tricky here too, because this just takes a lot of playtesting. Is it 7? Is it 8? Is it 9? The thing is, I think you probably it'd be kind of interesting if it was achievable by both players, right? If it'd be interesting if both players could get to that condition, to that situation. Although there's the other issue of like, what if it's possible that, I mean, we're still looking at an ending where it's just going to be compare money, right? And it's partly because maybe players, they just don't fast enough, so they just don't come out soon enough to like even get, because you need, well, I mean, this gets really expensive too, but technically somebody could just like spam these the community projects for a ton of money. I don't know. I think the idea is clean enough and compelling enough that this is it. It just needs playtesting. I think so. So the 2 major changes are going to be to introduce this trophy endgame trigger, which is either, I haven't decided yet, 7 or 8 trophies. Earn 7 or 8 trophies, end the game immediately. So there's that, and the trophies, I like that they're spread out. I think that's cool. And then the other significant change is to reveal these new buildings, reveal them automatically rather than wait for players to interact with them. So I think those are the main changes. and I feel really good about it. I mean, I like, as I said, the playtest on Saturday went so well. It was so positive. I was like really excited about it, and then the whole game just fell apart at the end. So, and we diagnosed that that was partly because of and the grant office wasn't useful, and there were some other things. But we diagnosed that uh, a big reason for that is that these new buildings didn't come out um, in such a way that allowed for the best timing. And then even the way the mayor's card, like the mayor's card came out, it covered the grant office, so it was completely irrelevant all game. So that was lame. And then the other thing was that the ending felt very uh, unsatisfactory. It was dissatisfying, and I think this other one I think will just be way more satisfying. Will be very tense, and I think that's what we're after in a two-player game. So I think that's great. So we're forcing the reveal. So everything's going to be out on the table. Everything's going to, you're going to get through the full teach by the 5th round, and then players are just going to go wild um, all over the place trying to get their little trophies or trying to gain the most money by the end of the game. Okay, I think I do need to transition away. Unfortunately, a short stream for today. I am heading into school, so I'm excited about that. Make a little money. Not gonna say no. Thanks for joining today, and yeah, have a great day. I will see you soon.